Since its beginnings in the 1800s, there has been a strained relationship between the LDS Church and LGBTQ community and its allies. The Church believes that marriage is a divinely appointed institution meant solely for men and women in heterosexual relationships. Additionally, the family, a proclamation to the world, teaches that gender is a divinely appointed characteristic that has implications beyond this life. This is interpreted to include only cisgender identities or individuals whose gender identity matches with the sex they were assigned at birth. Mormon beliefs on gender identity, homosexual relations, and LGBTQ rights have created a rift between church members who identify as queer and those who support the community. These disenfranchised individuals have raised their voices in necessary response to the LDS leadership and culture in a movement that has grown in momentum throughout the decades. In order to understand the history of the LGBTQ community in the Mormon Church, it is requisite to first understand the history of the Church's treatment of queer individuals. In 1876, sodomy became illegal in the Utah Territory. The offense was punishable by 5 years in prison. In 1907, prison time was extended to 23 years. Early apostles in the Church perpetuated homophobia over the pulpit. George Q. Cannon was quoted by speaking in the 1879 General Conference, saying, "Monogamy is a false tradition, leading to the crime against nature, or sodomy." His stance was that allowing polygamy, the practice of men having multiple wives, would decrease the temptation of homosexuality. Nearly a century later, Max Ford McBride did his dissertation on experimenting with homosexual BYU students. Subjects were shown same-sex pornography and then shocked in an effort to cure them of their orientation. 2 subjects of the study committed suicide soon after. In more recent years, the Church has changed their tone from one of complete abhorrence and rejection to a message of quasi-tolerance. According to the Church's website, their position states that changes in the civil law do not change the moral law that God has established. Recent action taken by the Church on the issue includes supporting amicus curiae briefs for Supreme Court cases stating their stance against same-sex marriage and the supposed religious right to deny service to homosexual couples. In November of 2015, church policy changed to prevent children of homosexual couples from baptism until they turn 18 and formally renounce their parents' relationship. Additionally, the policy reaffirmed that if members are in a same-sex marriage, they are considered apostate and are candidates for excommunication. In contrast, the Church released a statement on its support for the Love Loud Festival that took place in Utah County, August 2017. The festival was a celebration of love, tolerance, and acceptance for queer youth as a response to the suicide epidemic among them. This issue plagues Utah especially, where it is the leading cause of death for youth within the ages of 11 to 17. As a response to the problematic and discouraging history between the two communities, a movement of supportive Mormon allies has grown. One specific branch of this movement, known as the Mama Dragons, is particularly vocal in their tolerance and acceptance. They are a network of mothers who don't discriminate in religious background, but have ties primarily with the Mormon Church, who provide support and guidance of mothers of LGBTQ children. With humble beginnings as a small Facebook group who felt the Church provided no resources for approaching LGBTQ issues in their family, the organization has grown to include regional leadership throughout the United States. Many women in the group have sacrificed great amounts of time and effort to raise their voice in support of the queer community and their children. One such woman, Meg Abhow, is credited with coining the term Mama Dragon and currently serves on the Mama Dragon Board of Directors. Meg describes the experience of becoming a Mama Dragon when on a phone call with her sister after her 13-year-old son came out to her as gay.
So I'm on the phone with my sister, and I was getting really protective, and I was like, "What is stronger than a bear? What's stronger than a bear?" And I just got really quiet, and I felt myself grow scales and talons and claws and breathe fire, and I said, "Anessa, I'm a Mama Dragon." And from then on out, I called myself a Mama Dragon. Over the years, I got I copyrighted the name. I got us a website. I was kind of working behind the scenes. Then we formed a board, and it really just kind of formed organically. And now we have a board and a leadership team and regional groups, and it's really growing.
She goes on to explain some of the obstacles she and the other Mama Dragons have faced in accomplishing the goals of their movement.
The biggest obstacles are for us, and what we are words that come from over the pulpit, from the leadership of the church. Because that's where most of our work is with these teenagers and with these kids, and we've got these sometimes vulnerable children who maybe aren't in very affirming families. And then just to add insult to injury, we hear words over the pulpit like counterfeit marriage and just a bunch of nonsense.
Mama Dragons will often hold fundraisers to support queer youth who are displaced from their homes or march in pride parades, but Meg's greatest sense of accomplishment in the movement is a more grassroots approach among the women in the church.
Something that I'm so proud of within the women of the group is when their voices are raised, and they take the family acceptance packet to their bishop and say, this is actual research. This is something tangible that will save lives, and it does not contradict doctrine. Having those conversations on the local levels, bishops, stake presidents. Obviously we've all gone to the PR departments. We've talked to the apostles. We've done everything we can from up high, but when we really spread ourselves out and into the congregations, into the leadership, the local leadership, especially raising women's voices, which sometimes don't get heard in the Mormon Church. There's not one governing decision that a woman can make inside of the Mormon Church. That is just reality. Raising these women's voices and just speaking up anyway. I think that's the definition of courage, is when you're afraid, but you do it anyway.
In addressing the goals of the Mama Dragons, Meg laments about the reality of queer teen suicide in Utah and how Mama Dragons want to prevent those deaths and inform the public, specifically families, about queer issues so no more lives are senselessly lost.
We've had a burst since 2011 of 140% increase. It's outrageous. And 40% of those identify as LGBT. We don't know, what the real percentage is, because a lot of people will die this way before coming out. We have an epidemic, and we have pushback from the leadership and saying that the population isn't ready. So what do? We'll have to get the population ready.
She goes on to say that she hopes the Mormon Church will change its stance from one of conditional tolerance to one of complete love, with no buts. The family, a proclamation to the world, is one of the major obstacles preventing the new approach to LGBTQ issues that Meg and Mama Dragons hope for.
It is a document written by some lawyers, and that is what it is. And it's a beautiful document for some people if you fit into that mold. If you don't fit into that mold, however, it's pretty problematic. So I would like to point that out as something hopeful. A lot of people say that the family proclamation is too big of an obstacle to overcome. Well, it isn't, because it's not scripture, and it's not canonized.
All in all, Meg has been an instrumental tool in creating the Mama Dragons and promoting meaningful change throughout the church, starting with increased education and tolerance among its members. She is hopeful for systematic change and has, along with so many other women, dedicated her life to the fierce support of LGBTQ children and promoting equality.